What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC 288. We got Aljamain Sterling going against Henry Cejudo.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another Draftkings MMA picks video this week, breaking down a very good card here in UFC 288. We got 14 fights to talk about, and yeah, an interesting slate with, man, lots of options, lots of fights that are expected to end inside the distance. I'm expecting a lot of big scores, and just like I said, lots of targets, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of them, so can't wait to get into it. Before we do so, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, it does help out a ton. Subscribe to the channel, less than 200 subs away from 20,000, so maybe you could hit that in the very near future. If you guys have not subscribed, be sure to do so. I do appreciate that a ton. Now is also a great time to sign up on dfsbythenumbers.com. Check out that $10 DFS option. With that, you get access to my model with all the stats you see on my Friday and Saturday shows. This is the biggest thing here, the MMA lineup optimizer, built up to 150 lineups. DFS article, which should be out probably today. That's about done. Fighter projections, ownership projections, access to Discord, GPP lineup percentages, targets and rankings, and much, much more. A lot of stuff on there that you do not see on YouTube. If you guys prefer the Patreon platform, I'm also still on Patreon as well. But yeah, check it out. The website, the Patreon, does help out a ton, and lots of content on there. Other than that, going to be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then also Saturday, I'll be going live, I think, a couple times. Once for Best Bet, and then I'm also going to be doing like a Fight Day live show as well. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on all of that. But with that out of the way, I say we get into the picks, and we're going to start here with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. And yeah, we have a lot of fights that are expected to end inside the distance, and a lot of fights that are very heavily favored to do so. And we're going to kick it off with Parker Porter going against Braxton Smith here. And yeah, I think this fight does end inside the distance. I think this fight probably does end within the first 1.5 rounds. Like, it's juiced like to minus 175 towards the under here, and that's because it's a Braxton Smith fight. This guy gets in and this guy gets out. He's never seen the second round, and I don't really think that changes here against Parker Porter. Parker Porter 8,600, Braxton Smith 7,600. I think this fight is one you got to target, a fight with first round finish upside. I actually lean towards the Braxton Smith side. You get $1,000 savings off of Parker Porter, and I do think if Braxton Smith wins his first round knockout, but Porter, if he gets a takedown, the fight is over shortly after. So this is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite fight to target this week in the Porter-Braxton Smith fight. It's an ugly fight, but hey, I think it scores very well this week. Next, we got Claudio Ribeiro going against Joseph Holmes. Another fight that I think finishes early. I guess the big thing to mention here is both of these guys have a 100% finish rate. Ribeiro, all of those coming by knockout. No submissions on his record, where Joseph Holmes, he has some power, and he has, I believe, a brown belt in BJJ. So Holmes is going to try to get this fight down to the mat, and I mean, he better try to get the fight down to the mat, because if he doesn't, he's probably getting knocked out. And that's kind of where I lean. I lean towards Claudio Ribeiro at 8,900, knocking out Joseph Holmes. But Joseph Holmes definitely has a path to victory. I don't really think either of these guys are that great. But it's another fight to target, another fight that I think finishes inside the distance, another fight that's actually favored to end under 1.5 rounds, let alone not go the full 15. So another great fight to target here. I lean Claudio Ribeiro, but Joseph Holmes, 7,300, I think is going to be super low owned, and he has a path. So we'll see. Next, we have probably my favorite fight on the card. I'm sure a lot of you guys' favorite fight on the card. We have Drew Dober going against Matt Frevola. We got Drew Dober 9,200, Matt Frevola 7,000. And another great fight to target. Drew Dober is going to have knockout upside in every single round. It could be early, it could be late. It really all comes down to how Matt Frevola attacks this fight. Is Matt Frevola going to go out there and stand and bang with Drew Dober, make this fight a war? If he does that, he probably gets knocked out early. Is he going to go out there and try to wrestle Drew Dober? If he does that, he might have some success, and for that reason, Matt Frevola at 7,000 is a play that I'm considering in terms of a pump play, right? If he does win this fight, I think it's going to be due to the wrestling. We have seen Drew Dober struggle with the takedown defense. I think on paper it's like 55%. So yeah, Frevola does come out there like he did against Jalen Turner and wrestle across 15 minutes. He's not only going to win, but he's going to put up a big score. I personally think that he is going to try to stand and bang with Drew Dober, and I think he does get knocked out eventually, so I am more so on the Drew Dober side at 9,200, but Matt Frevola at 7K is a very, very cheap option with some upside, I'd say. So another good fight to target, and my favorite fight in the card. Next, we have Chaos Williams going against Rolando Bedoya. Chaos Williams, the most expensive fighter on the card, and Chaos Williams was my favorite play on the card up until we lost the Bryce Mitchell fight, and we do have Lopez stepping in for Bryce Mitchell. Now my favorite play is Evloev. We'll talk about him, but yeah, I still really like Chaos Williams this week. 9,500. I just don't think Rolando Bedoya is that great. I don't like his striking defense, and I think Chaos Williams is going to have the power to knock him out here. So if anything for me in this fight, it is the Chaos Williams side. I don't think I'll get too much, if any, Bedoya at all. All right, moving on to our core plays, my 4 favorite plays here. And talked about him. Movsar Evloev here at 9,400. Funny enough, I probably wasn't going to have that much of Movsar Evloev against Bryce Mitchell, but this is a matchup now that I think is very, very favorable. We don't have a line for it yet, but I expect Evloev to be an even bigger favorite than he was against Mitchell by far, and then obviously a bigger favorite than Chaos Williams. I think Evloev is going to be the biggest favorite on the card here against Diego Lopez, who just cannot stuff a takedown, who's reliant on, it had to be like an arm bar, had to be like a triangle, like something off his back to beat Evloev here, and I think Evloev is going to be wise enough to it and not get subbed here. So Evloev 9,400, he has takedown upside, control upside, and a lot of it. It's going to rack up. I don't know if he finishes Lopez. Lopez is a tough dude, but even if he doesn't, 15 rounds of nonstop wrestling, I think he puts up a big score here. So love some Movsar Evloev. Went from not liking him really at all against Mitchell from a DraftKings perspective to being just all over him this week in cash and tournaments as well. So love me some Evloev here, 9,400. Jessica Andrade, 8,800. I think it's a good matchup for her. A lot of people down on Andrade after her last fight against Aaron Blanchfield. First of all, she took that fight on short notice. She obviously wasn't in fight shape. She looked horrible. She got taken down and submitted by Blanchfield. Luckily, she's fighting Yan Xiaonan, who's not going to do any of that. Jessica Andrade has a path to victory here, and the path to victory is going to score a ton on DraftKings, and that's to wrestle. And she can wrestle for 15 minutes if need be, but I think she can actually finish this fight. So I like Jessica Andrade here, 8,800, takedown upside, and if she can get on top of Yan Xiaonan, we saw what Carla Esparza was able to do against Yan Xiaonan. I think Jessica Andrade can finish her here and put up a very big score. Daniel Santos, 8,400. Really like the price tag here for Daniel Santos. I think he has a lot of upside. He kind of fights like Charles Oliveira. He trains with Charles Oliveira, and he just comes forward with reckless abandon. He doesn't he doesn't really care about his own health, it looks like. He's blocking punches with his face, but he's super tough, which I like, and he's going to just come forward. He's going to try to take your head off for the entire fight. We saw him go to war with John Castaneda, take some damage early, come back in the second round, and finish a very tough and durable John Castaneda. Very good performance there. I like Daniel Santos to kind of do the same thing here against Johnny Munoz. Just pressure, stuff the takedowns, and eventually break Johnny Munoz, land some big shots, and get him out of there, putting up a very big score here at 8,400. I think Daniel Santos has a big ceiling here at this price tag. And then Chaos Williams, we talked about him a little bit. I just think it's a really good matchup for him. So I'm going to get as much Chaos Williams in there as possible, as well as Movsar Evloev. And I think there's enough underdogs on this slate where that's going to be possible. Chaos Williams, tons of knockout power, and I think the knockout's coming here. Rolando Bedoya has never been knocked out, but he's never fought anybody as good as Chaos Williams, and he blocks punches with his face, and I think that's only going to lead to a Chaos Williams, probably a first-round knockout. So I like Williams. I like the first-round knockout upside, and I'll be trying to have a bunch of him in my lineups. Moving on to our GPP plays here, our tournament plays. I put these guys together, Henry Cejudo, Aljamain Sterling. So we have the main event, which is 5 rounds, and then we have the co-main event, which is 5 rounds. I'm more inclined to target this main event a lot more heavily than the co-main event, because in the co-main event, I could see a situation where there's not a bunch of takedowns either side because Bilal has a very good takedown defense. And then, so I don't know if Burns is going to be able to take down Bilal across 5 rounds. And then on the flip side, Bilal could take down Burns if he wants to, but is he going to go out there and try to take down Burns? I'm not so sure he does. So I could see a situation where they do a lot of striking and it could be a low-scoring fight. This fight, the main event, I am more inclined to play 8,100 apiece. I'm going to probably be split about 50-50. I don't have a strong lean one way or another. It's kind of a weird fight where Cejudo's coming off of a 3-year layoff. I don't like that. He's now 36 years old, but he has really hard leg kicks, a ton of power. I think as there's a finish in this fight, it comes from the Cejudo side, but you got Aljamain Sterling, who's younger, much bigger. He's going to throw a lot of volume, and if he's able to win this fight, he probably scores well. So, love the main event as a whole. Don't have a strong lean one way or another, but I'm probably going to split it up about as 50-50 as I can get here. Claudio Ribeiro, 8,900. Yeah, I like Ribeiro to go out there and get the knockout, and probably early as well. This guy, I don't think he's amazing. But he has one thing, and that one thing is just power. This guy hits hard. He kicks hard as well. So if Joseph Holmes does not get down Claudio Ribeiro, and I have a feeling he doesn't because Joseph Holmes is not the best wrestler, I think Claudio Ribeiro can go out there and get a knockout and an early knockout too. So I like Claudio Ribeiro, 8,900. I think he gets it done here. Parker Porter, 8,600. He's in play just because he's going against Braxton Smith. This is a fight that is borderline must target for me. Parker Porter, all he really needs is to either A, get a takedown, or B, get to the second round, and he wins the fight. I mean, Braxton Smith has been to the second round never. And like I said, I don't think it changes here. I think this fight does end in the first round. We've never seen Braxton Smith against somebody really good at all. We've never seen Braxton Smith taken down. Just lots of question marks on the Braxton Smith side, but I think there is a finish here. Parker Porter could very well get it. I personally think Parker Porter could get knocked out. I'm actually picking him to get knocked out, but I think somebody's getting knocked out here in this matchup. Rafael Estevam, 8,300. Yeah, I like Estevam here from a DraftKings perspective just because his path here is going to be to wrestle. That's like all he does. Really good wrestler, really good grappler, relentless with that wrestling and the grappling. He doesn't have the best striking, and I don't think he's going to try to strike with Zaga Sumagulov. So yeah, if he wins this fight, expect takedowns, expect control time, and I think he's going to be very low owned just due to the fact that you have Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo 200 cheaper. You have Gilbert Burns 100 cheaper, who Gilbert Burns is going to be very high owned, and then you also have Bilal Muhammad, who's going to carry a lot of ownership as well. So like me some Rafael Estevam just due to the fact that he has a ton of upside with the wrestling, but there's a lot of plays that stick out. Like we could talk about Bilal Muhammad, we could talk about Gilbert Burns, we can't completely ignore those guys. We can talk about Ikram Alaskarov going against Phil Hawes. He has finish upside. Like this slate's crazy, like so many plays sticking out. Even Kennedy Nzechukwu's not the worst play in the world. Drew Dober's obviously in play. So it's one of those slates where, my goodness, you got to really favor the plays you really like, and these are probably my favorites here. And you gotta do some scary fades here. Like you can't play everything, right? So I'm gonna have some fades that I don't feel amazing about, but I'm gonna try to play my favorite plays here and see if they hit here. But yeah, it's a weird slate this week. All right. We'll move on to the Underdog Fantasy section. If you guys have not already, be sure to sign up on Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Last week, we had the Caio Borralho higher over the fantasy score, and he hit that pretty easily. I think it was set at like 54.5. So Caio hit that for us. This week, I'm going with Jessica Andrade to get higher than 1.5 takedowns. If she doesn't, something's wrong. I mean, it would have to be a terrible game plan. If she goes out there and strikes with Yan Xiaonan, she probably even loses the fight. So I'm hoping because she comes in here, she fights smart, she gets takedowns. Takedowns are the path here. I like Jessica Andrade to get more than 1.5 takedowns here. Have not missed a play yet. Hopefully I didn't just jinx it there, but I also said that last week and it worked out. So I have not missed a play yet since I've been doing these videos. So hopefully Jessica Andrade comes through here. But yeah, guys, use promo code DFSBTN, Underdog Fantasy. Check it out. It's a really, really good time there. All right, moving on. We got our live dogs here, and I'll touch on a couple more after this, but these are my favorite four. We got Verna Jandiroba. Love that picture there of Verna. Obviously, very good picture, but she's 7,700. Takedown upside, submission upside. Marina Rodriguez, her takedown defense isn't great. What's even worse, though, is her get-up game. Once Marina Rodriguez is taken down, typically she's not getting back up. So you don't want Verna on top of you. She's an incredible grappler. Her wrestling's pretty solid. I think she gets on top of Marina and has opportunities to get the sub here. If not, just win minutes on top, racking up control time. So I like some Verna, 7,700 for the wrestling and takedown upside. Braxton Smith, 7,300. Your typical first-round knockout or bust type of play, but it's very much on the table here. This guy, Braxton Smith, hits like a truck. I don't know how good he really is because he's going out there, he's starching these guys, these low-level guys. It's going to be the toughest opponent he's fought yet. But, Parker Porter's been finished in all of his losses. Parker Porter's been knocked out several times in the UFC. It would not shock me in the slightest if this guy came out here and knocked out Parker Porter. So, yeah, like me some Braxton Smith at this price tag of 7,600. Kron Gracie, 7,500. Gracie's coming in here after like a 3.5-year layoff, which is so sketchy, but it's a matchup that's very winnable just due to the fact that Charles Jourdain has a 48% takedown defense, and it could be a situation where one takedown and the fight could be over. Like Kron Gracie's grappling's on another level. I know Charles Jourdain's a brown belt. maybe even a black belt. I think brown belt, though. I don't think it matters. I think if Gracie gets Jourdain down, takes his back, the fight could be over. So I like Gracie here at 7,500. I think he has some serious upside, some serious submission upside, early finish upside. And I think it only might take one takedown for him to win this fight. But of course, the 3.5-year layoff is the sketchiest part about this player. And then Joseph Holmes, 7,300. I don't think he's that great, but man, I don't think Claudio Ribeiro is that great. And Claudio Ribeiro, I think he has a hole in his game, which is the takedown defense and the grappling. And if Holmes can get down Claudio Ribeiro, he probably subs him. It's just, can he do it or not? We'll have to see. I don't have a ton of confidence he does so, but if he does, he's going to have the path right there. Even on the feet, like Holmes, I don't think is the best striker, but he does have power in his own right. Of course, not as much power as Ribeiro, but he does have some power. So maybe he could even knock out Ribeiro. It's just a play where I think the winner of this fight as a whole is going to score very good. So I think it's one to target for sure. More so on the Ribeiro side, but Holmes at 7,300, I don't think is the worst play in the world. Pump plays, I got Phil Hawes here, 7,100 going against Ikram Alaskarov. Yeah, I think it's a solid pump play here just due to the fact that Phil Hawes has a 100% takedown defense in and outside the UFC. I've never seen him taken down. Could that change here? Absolutely. But he has a wrestling background, very physically strong. He's going to have the striking advantage here. It really all comes down to, can he stuff the takedowns in this matchup or not? If he does, I think he wins. If he doesn't, I think he gets subbed. So we'll have to see. But at 7,100, I think there's some solid value here. You know, money's coming in on Phil Hawes in terms of the money line. So I think at 7,100, I think it's a solid look. It's hard to trust Phil Hawes, the chin, the cardio, but if you can stuff those takedowns, it's a very, very winnable fight. Matt Frevola, 7,000. We touched on him for a brief second. Yeah, if he wins, I'm expecting takedowns, control time. Drew Dober, 55% takedown defense. I don't think Frevola knocks out Drew Dober. I mean, could it happen? Maybe. Frevola does hit hard, but Drew Dober's chin is on just another level. But I think if Frevola does win, it's because he's wrestling, he's grappling, he's mixing in the takedowns. Maybe he gets a sub as well. Dober's been subbed like 3 times. So I don't mind some Frevola in this matchup at 7,000, just way, way too cheap. Some other dog plays I was looking at, like Bilal Muhammad, you can consider him a dog at 8,000. I think he's obviously in play. And I think that's about, I don't hate Johnny Munoz Jr. just because he has grappling upside as well. At 7,800, I don't hate Johnny Munoz Jr., black belt and BJJ, but these are my favorite dogs here, these 4 on the screen, I'd say. Well, these 4 on the screen. There we go. All right, and then fades. Not a ton of fades really sticking out. Like I said, on this slate, like so many fighters are in play. I'm going to fade Marina Rodriguez, 8,500. I think this matchup should be a lot closer than that. And on top of that, if she does win, I think she's going to probably win a decision, maybe like a late finish. But if she's getting a late finish, I don't see her scoring well. I think there's going to be a lot of big scores on the slate. And I just don't see Marina Rodriguez going out there and paying off this price tag, even if she does win, and I'm actually picking her to lose. So not going to be touching much Marina Rodriguez at 8,500. And then there's like obvious fades, like I'm not going to be playing like Rolando Bedoya. I'm not going to be playing any Devin Clark. I'm not going to be playing any Yan Xiaonan this week. You got to really limit your player pool because there's so many options that stick out this week. But my fade is going to be Marina Rodriguez. But yeah, all right, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and also consider checking out dfsbythenumbers.com. All content should be out within maybe even tonight. Pretty ahead this week. Going to start building lineups as well. Hopefully no more fights get changed or canceled, but odds are that it's probably going to happen. So I should wait to make lineups, but I'm ready to do it now. So I'll do it now. I'll probably change it later. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Live stream Friday and then live stream Saturday. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Best of luck for UFC 288. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you.